In this video, we're going to look at each of the 50 state capitals and find one interesting fact from each of them. Albany, New York. Did you know that Albany began as a fort in 1614? So it's actually the oldest continuous settlement in the United States. Annapolis, Maryland. At 6.7 square miles, it is the smallest U.S. capital by land size. Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta is the largest capital by metropolitan population at 5.9 million. Augusta, Maine. Augusta is home to Fort Western, which is the oldest wooden fort in the United States, and it was built in 1794. Austin, Texas. Austin is the largest U.S. city that doesn't even have a professional sports team. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At 450 feet tall, Baton Rouge's Capitol building is the tallest in the country. Bismarck, North Dakota. Bismarck has the lowest average winter temperature of all state capitals, including Juneau, Alaska. Boise, Idaho. Boise is home to the largest population of Basque Americans in the U.S. at 15,000. Boston, Massachusetts. Boston is home to the country's first public beach, the first lighthouse, and the first college, and the first subway. Carson City, Nevada. Carson City is the smallest metropolitan statistical area in the country. Charleston, West Virginia. The first U.S. museum, the Charleston Museum, which was established in 1773, and the first theater, the Dock Street Theater from 1736, are both located in Charleston. Cheyenne, Wyoming. Located only 8 miles north of the Colorado border, Cheyenne is one of the furthest U.S. capitals from its own state's geographic center. Columbia, South Carolina. Columbia was the first U.S. city named after Christopher Columbus, and it was almost named Washington instead. Columbus, Ohio. Nearly half of all Americans live within 500 miles of Columbus, including those living in Chicago, New York, and Atlanta. Concord, New Hampshire. Concord was named for the Concord, or harmony, after a boundary dispute between the neighboring towns of Rumford and Bow. Denver, Colorado. Although Denver is exactly 1 mile high, it is not the U.S. capital with the highest elevation. Santa Fe and Cheyenne are actually higher. Des Moines, Iowa. Des Moines was originally named Fort Raccoon after the Raccoon River. Dover, Delaware. Dover differed from the rest of Kent County regarding slavery, and the city was an important stop on the Underground Railroad. Frankfurt, Kentucky. Frankfurt was the only Union capital that was overtaken by the Confederacy during the U.S. Civil War. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Harrisburg is home to the Rockville Bridge, which was built in 1902 and is the longest stone arch bridge in the world. Hartford, Connecticut. Teddy Roosevelt took the first presidential automobile ride in history on the streets of Hartford in 1902. Helena, Montana. Helena was originally named Last Chance Gulch as a small mining town. It almost became Crabtown or Pumpkinville before being named after St. Helena in Minnesota. Honolulu, Hawaii. Honolulu has the highest average annual temperature of any U.S. state capital. Indianapolis, Indiana. Indianapolis is the largest U.S. city that is not on a navigable river. Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson is the only U.S. capital built on top of a volcano. The Jackson volcano is located underneath the Mississippi Coliseum. Jefferson City, Missouri. Jefferson City was laid out by Daniel Boone, son of the famous pioneer Daniel Boone. Juneau, Alaska. Geographically, Juneau is the largest state capital at 2,716 square miles. Lansing, Michigan. Lansing was the birthplace of Oldsmobile in 1897, 11 years before the Ford Motor Company created the Ford Model T. Lincoln, Nebraska. Lincoln was named after President Abraham Lincoln in 1867, only 2 years after he was assassinated. Little Rock, Arkansas. The Capitol building in Little Rock finished construction in 1842, making it the oldest Capitol building in the country. Madison, Wisconsin. Madison is the only U.S. state capital built on an isthmus. Montgomery, Alabama. Montgomery was the first U.S. city with an electric streetcar system known as the Lightning Route. Montpellier, Vermont. With a population of 7,800, Montpellier is the least populated state capital. Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville Centennial Park contains the only replica of the Greek Parthenon, which houses the tallest enclosed sculpture in the Western Hemisphere, the Athena Parthenos. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Oklahoma City is the most recently founded state capital in 1910. Olympia, Washington. Olympia is the northernmost state capital in the lower 48 states. Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix is the most populous state capital. at 1.6 million. Pierre, South Dakota. Pierre is the only U.S. capital without access to an expressway. Providence, Rhode Island. The first planned American act, the Revolutionary War, occurred in Providence. Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh is the home of the first historically black university, Shaw University. Richmond, Virginia. Richmond served as the capital of the Confederacy during the Civil War. Sacramento, California. Sacramento is the oldest incorporated city in the state of California in 1850. St. Paul, Minnesota. St. Paul has more shoreline along the Mississippi River, 26 miles, than any other American city. St. Paul and Baton Rouge are the only U.S. capitals on the river itself. Salem, Oregon. Salem is the westernmost U.S. state capital, other than Alaska and Hawaii, of course. Salt Lake City, Utah. Salt Lake City is the only U.S. capital with 3 words in its name. Santa Fe, New Mexico. Santa Fe is the oldest state capital, founded in 1610, and also the highest U.S. capital at 7,000 feet above sea level. Springfield, Illinois. Springfield became the 3rd capital of Illinois thanks to the work of Abraham Lincoln, who lived in Springfield from 1837 to 1861. Tallahassee, Florida. Tallahassee was the only state capital of the Confederacy not to be captured or burned during the Civil War. Topeka, Kansas. Topeka is the closest state capital to the geographic center of the U.S., which is 2 miles north of Lebanon, Kansas. Trenton, New Jersey. Trenton was the U.S. capital for the last 2 months of 1784. Subscribe to the channel for more interesting facts about U.S. cities and other cities around the world.